In this session, we'll be joined by 3 speakers from different parts of the world. Each and all of them are renowned experts in the field of digital therapeutics. After all presentations, we'll have a panel discussion and we'll welcome questions from the participants. Allow me to introduce to you our first speaker, Dr. Jung-Lim Lee. Dr. Jung-Lim Lee is the Director General of Department of Medical Device Evaluation in the Ministry of Food and Drug Safety in South Korea, with special duties of pre-market approval and evaluation of medical devices. She has worked for the MFDS since 2001. She worked as a visiting special scientist in the Department of Radiology at University of Iowa in the US in 1999, and as a research associate in the Mollenkrodt Institute of Radiology in Washington University in the US from 2000 to 2001. She was seconded as a policy analyst to the Regulatory Policy Division in OECD in France in 2018. Dr. Jung-Lim Lee will give a presentation on introduction of digital therapeutics regulatory pathway. Let us welcome Dr. Jung-Lim Lee.
Thank you, Dr. Choi. And good morning, good evening, everyone. Can you see my slide?
Yes, Dr. Lee, we can not yet as of now. Maybe you can share your screen.
Yes, sir. Can we put up Dr. Lee's video? Okay, good.
Okay, thank you. It's a pleasure to meet you at World Bio Innovation Forum. And I'd like to give you an update on the regulatory pathway of digital therapeutics in Korea. Next, please. Okay. The table of contents includes the regulatory framework for digital health medical devices and overview of digital therapeutics approval system. Next, please. Firstly, I will briefly introduce the regulatory framework for digital health medical devices. Next, please. Okay. I will explain the most recent regulations and guidelines. The latest act is into effect in 2020. It is to support innovative devices and promote the industry. In accordance with this act, MFDS has implemented a pre-certification program for innovative SaMD manufacturers and priority review of innovative devices. In addition, we have 90 SaMD product codes, such as AI-based detection software.
Excuse me. For the general audience, what is SaMD?
Software as a medical devices.
Great,
it's a software.
Thanks very much.
Yes.
Thanks very much.
Okay, I will continue. In addition, we have a set of 90 SaMD product codes, such as AI-based detection software for cardiovascular imaging and cognitive behavior therapy software. We also published many guidelines, and especially 2 guidelines on approval for DTX products in order to make industries better understand the regulatory frameworks and requirements. Next, please. Okay, this February, the Digital Health Devices Division has newly launched in MFDS. Now we have 6 divisions under the Department of Medical Device Evaluation. The division has been primarily focusing on reviewing technical documents and clinical evaluation reports of SaMD product based on AI augmented reality and virtual reality, DTX products and apps, as well as cybersecurity verification. Furthermore, the division is responsible for developing and revising the guidelines related to digital health technology and also identifying innovative SAMD manufacturers for a pre-certification program and reviewing of their products in order to support the industries within the regulatory framework. Next, please. I will give you more detailed information on how we support industries. Firstly, to remove uncertainty of the regulation, we have provided consultation about medical device determination and approval process. Secondly, we have made an effort to mitigate differences between manufacturers and regulators' perspectives while enhancing predictability and clarity of regulation. Lastly, we have been developing various guidelines while engaging in collaborative communities, which are composed of multidisciplinary experts. Based on this experience, we are providing consistent sets of criteria for review and approval, and also improving expertise, transparency, and flexibility. Next, please. MFDS has closely communicated and collaborated with other government agencies, relevant academies, and industries to update our regulatory approaches. Next, please. Now I would explain the overview of DTX products approval system. Next, please. DTX product refers to a software as a medical device and that provides evidence-based therapeutic intervention to patients for prevention, management, or treatment of medical disabilities and or diseases. The main characteristics of the DTX are following. Firstly, the target for prevention and management of DTX products should be patients who need necessarily treatment intervention. Secondly, DTX products should have a specific intended use for treatment. Thirdly, DTX products should demonstrate its safety and effectiveness through the clinical trial to get an approval. Lastly, DTX products can be used alone or in combination with other medicines and medical devices. Next, please. This slide shows how DTX products are different from wellness or fitness apps and other digital health products. Based on DTX definition, it is driven by software programs, but it can be used independently or in concert with devices. As I mentioned earlier, DTX products are intended for prevention, management, or treatment of disease for patients. DTX products can provide scientific and clinical references for mechanism of action for treatment. It is important to determine whether the products are DTX or not before applying an approval. We can follow the criteria in the decision tree. Firstly, is it a SAMD? Next, is it intended for prevention, management, or treatment of disease for patients? Lastly, does it have scientific references for mechanism of action for treatment? Okay, next, please. Yes. The essential requirements for reviews are references on the mechanism of action for treatment and results of clinical studies. Mechanism of action refers to treatment mechanism, which is a theoretical basis to achieve intended use of the product, such as clinical practice guidelines and clinical articles. Information on clinical investigation refers to clinical evidence as a result of a clinical trial of the product. For the clinical trial, it should be prospective clinical trial, which evaluates safety and effectiveness of the product for a period of time after recruiting the patient subjects based on the clinical trial product protocol. And the content of the trial should include the selection and exclusion criteria of subjects, the number of targeted subjects, and evaluation criteria for effectiveness and evaluation methods. Next. Okay, that is all I have today. Thank you for your listening.